Hi there, David Amilani, David Gilbert from Beyond the Blast Doors. We're doing a special video today. We're going to be talking about our top 20 favorite comic book covers because we got tagged by Alex the Comic Hoarder on YouTube. Alex is a good friend of the show.
Yep.
And really a good, he's also kind of like a sponsor in a way. The guys were, well, in a way, because Alex does a really great job of shouting us out in a lot of his videos.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and so he thought he should tag us in one of the latest videos he did. So he showcased 20 of his favorite comic covers, and I've tried to do that. I went through a few of my boxes. I have about 6 or 7 short boxes, and I was going through real quick, just finding cat covers that caught my eye, because when I buy comics, when I collect comics, I'm not really collecting for the cover art. I mean, sometimes I am, but more times than not, it's just I'm following like the Batman run, or I'm following the Superman run, or I'm following, something DC Young Animals. I'm following those things, and so I'm just getting the next issue. I'm not really looking for the variants until very recently. And you're not really a single issue guy.
I didn't follow the instructions, so instead of picking my top 20 favorite comic books covers, because I don't have a whole lot. I have some of the Rebirth comics that came out, just because I wanted the number ones of those for potentially reselling later. So I went through and I grabbed 5 of my favorite trades that have some pretty awesome artwork in it too.
Because you're not a single issue guy like me, you prefer the trade because you like the complete arc, right?
Yes, I like the arc. It looks better on a bookshelf, and it's a little cheaper every week when you start counting the pennies.
And the nice thing about the trade too is, if you're more for the story, I guess you do get all the covers in the back of the book, right?
Sometimes they're throughout, and then in the back they'll have some variant covers. They'll have some sketches from concepts that they were doing. So there's some neat little Easter eggs that they hide in the back of them depending on the issue, and if it's a specialty like a Flashpoint, or if it's more like a volume like a Flash number 4 that I have with me today.
All right, well, I'm not going to let you give away your entire stack yet. The way we'll do this, because I've got 20 books and he's only got his 5 trades, is we are going to go 5 of me at a time, and then David's going to bounce in with one of his trades. So while you're looking at us here in this main look, we're going to drop down comics in front of this holder right here, so you can get an up close look at the art. So you'll see us here, and then you'll see our book down here. Us here, comic down here. Now we're back here. Now I'm actually going to get serious and show you my very first book. Really excited about this one. This is from the DC Rebirth universe. It's Wonder Woman number 4, and I'm going to drop this right into here so you can see that art. I think I got it right. It's part of the Rebirth tie-in. It's part 2 of 6 of that year 1 run, and Rucka is writing it, but the cover is from Nicholas Scott. And what I love about these the entire run so far is the fact that the art has been eye-catching. Really exciting stuff. It's so real. Wonder Woman looks really strong on this cover, and I really enjoy that. So that's Wonder Woman number 4, 20 on my list. So this is the first time we've ever done something like this, so we're getting some of the kinks out. So forgive me if I stumble, but hey, we got to get through these 20 books somehow, right? This is going to be number 19 for me. Number 50 of Batman. This is from the New 52, and I'll show it here, and then I'll show it down here. This was the last issue of Super Heavy, and Greg Capullo does the cover, and it's just awesome. What I love about this cover especially is the fact that it's kind of become a staple of Batman. In the last couple of years, I've seen this image in various spots, whether that's Walmart in their wallpaper section, their poster section. I'll see this on a variety of things, a lot of stickers. It's a very iconic image of the last 5 years, and so I'm really into that one, so I picked that one. I'm going to go old school with my number 18 pick, Batman 451. This is a really favorite of mine. I got this in a bundle, and it's where the Joker confronts an imposter who's been doing a bunch of crimes in the Joker's name, kind of mimicking him. And the cover is done by a guy by Norm Brayfogle, and what I love about this cover is, because I want you to see it too, David.
I don't think you showed me that
It's
one.
old school.
I like it.
Like, it's old school.
I like the big purple floppy hat that the Joker's wearing with his Tommy gun.
It's insane, and it's pre-animated series,
I like
but
it.
it's just wild. So I'll give you one more look at that for those watching at home. It was only $1 on the cover. It was only $1. Next for me, number 17 on my list, and the next two are going to go with each other. I'll show them at the same time on the wide shot. So I've got, let's see, this is 13 and 14 of the DC Rebirth, and it's Batman. And I'll put these down here, like this. Is that going to work? The
Okay.
shot. You hold one, I'll hold the other.
Yep.
So this is really sweet because so 13 is I Am Suicide, part 5 of 5, and then 14 is the start of Rooftops. But for the issue number 13, the cover is by Mikkel Janin, and I love it so much. Because it kind of mimics what happens on the next issue here with My Finger, with Stephanie Hans doing the cover, is the play on shadows. I love the depth, especially here on Rebirth 14. I love the shadow on Catwoman's face, looking back up to Batman. It is really cool. And I don't know, every time I look at it, I'm really just kind of at awe, and I just think it's really beautiful. It really grabs my attention every time. So that's 20, 19, 18, 17, 16 on my list. Those are my first 5. So David, you have 5 trades. What is your first trade that you're going to be showcasing for art?
First trade is one that you introduced me to many moons ago, and that is Flashpoint.
Okay, yeah.
This was the second trade I ever read. I always struggled, David, to get into comics, as you well know, because you tried for years to get me hooked on these damn things.
I was trying for everybody.
But I tend to prefer novelizations of things because I can read them quicker. So it took me a while to get into comics because I couldn't look at pictures and read at the same time.
Okay.
And then you and Ethan Worthington hooked me up with Blackest Night.
Yep.
And that was great. And then this is the first one I ended up going out and purchasing on my own. So Flashpoint, of course, is written by Jeff Johns. It's absolutely phenomenal. Everything he does is great. Andy Kubert, not sure how you pronounce it, is the artist for this one. Kubert's just great, but he doesn't do typically any like serials. He doesn't do the weekly things. He does a lot of special things. He did some Convergence. He did some one-shots. But here's some artwork that I just absolutely love. Here's a shot here with the Thomas Wayne Batman, spoilers, I guess.
We'll put that up, I
Kind
guess.
of electrocuting the Flash, our Barry Allen. Barry's trying to jumpstart what he's trying to do with his getting back into the Speed Force, and he's trying to replicate a electric shock. So, of course, the easiest way to do that in the comics is to electrify him, put him in the chair. I just think that's a beautiful shot. I really love throughout this entire story arc the Thomas Wayne bad guy. Here's a great one. We know over in Europe, the Atlanteans and the Amazons are kind of fighting.
Yeah, that's
so
pretty.
here's a great one where they're going after the Flash there. And last little pick I'll show out of this one, as I'm dropping my little bookmarks everywhere, is a picture of the Reverse Flash with the Flash. I think the artwork is just stunning in this one. Almost every page you could blow up into a poster.
I'm a sucker for the Flash comics that you show me every time because the way the lightning is, especially when I see blue lightning, I always get so excited.
Just wait until my last pick. You'll be excited on that one.
All right, so Flashpoint is your first trade. I think that's a great pick because Jeff Johns writing that story. I know that is what you really enjoyed. But the art, just like you said, a lot of great images that you want to see hung up on your wall. So that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go back to the DC world. And I think some people might be surprised, but a lot of our books are not going to be Star Wars. A lot of our books are going to be probably DC, because that's what I gravitated towards. I mean, DC was the first book that I got when I was just a little kid. I remember getting to pick up a Superman comic, and I just kind of was hooked on there, and then obviously Batman became pretty cool. We'll get some Star Wars comics though later on. Number 15 for me is Batgirl #1. This is from the New 52. And I just think it is the coolest thing. It's an Adam Hughes cover. And I think I've seen Alex post this a few times in his haul videos. I've seen a couple people have this cover. And it's just really, it's one of those images where you look at and it's like, is that art or is that just a photo? Did someone draw it? Or is that someone actually in that pose coming at the screen? And it's really cool. It's part of the Shattered run, but that's number 15 for me. Batgirl #1 out of the New 52. Now, I'm a guy, and in college, there were some comics that I picked up that I thought were a little outlandish. There's sex criminals, and then there's somehow fairy tales become somewhat appealing to a 21-year-old man. This is Grim Fairy Tales presents Alice in Wonderland #5. From 2012, this is Zenoscope, I should say, and it's the variant cover. It's there from Eric Basdua, and yeah, let's just kind of take that in. I was a junior in college when I got this book, I'm walking along at the fantasy shop in St. Charles, Missouri, and I just happened to see this book, and it was appealing to me. And I guess I just never seen a woman drawn with such large breasts. So that's number 14, Alice in Wonderland number 1. That is a variant cover, I believe. Is that a variant? No, that's just the number 1. That's cover B.
How do you tell if it's a variant?
Well, for this one, they have different covers. So
Cover. Oh, I see. It's underneath the number 1.
yeah, so right there it says cover B. I'll show in that,
Okay.
and then I'll show down here. The fun of having 2 cameras, right?
Do the other trades do that too?
No, coming up we'll have some variants.
Okay.
So that's number 14. Number 13, I'm a huge Miles Morales, and I'm glad we mentioned variants because we have a variant right here.
I almost brought a Miles Morales trade.
I'm really excited about this. This is number 2 of the Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man series. Show up top, show down here. I'm going to try and do a better job of that. But this is a variant cover from Amy Reeder. And I just love the Miles Morales series in general. I was just getting into comics when Miles really got brought into the mainstream about 5-6 years ago. Oh, it couldn't have been that long ago.
No.
It was 2011-ish, 2012-ish.
That would have been like 6 or 7 years ago.
Right, so, okay.
I don't know.
5? I can't do math.
It's enjoyable. I like it.
I'm a comm major. But what I love about a lot of the Miles covers and a lot of the art that I see Miles Morales in is it's the skyline. And that's something that's pretty much, you'll find that with any Peter Parker Spider-Man 2. There's a lot of covers where he's swinging, up above the skyline. This is really cool, a little trippy, but I'm a real big fan of this art. It was I think it was 1 for 25 incentive for stores. So this is one that I hold on to. I picked this up at another shop in St. Louis as well. Number 12 is Spider-Man 1A. This is from 2016, and it's a number 1. And hey, wouldn't you know, he's in the skyline again, and he's hanging out. But I just think that is a gorgeous cover, again, of Miles up above the cityscape there. Pretty nice. This is taking place after Secret Wars, so he's trying to figure himself out.
You ever wish you could draw that well?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I grew up trying to draw, and all I could do was like a dog and a palm tree. That's all I can do.
I can do a stick figure penguin, and that's about it.
How do you do a stick figure penguin?
I'll show you later.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a thin penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 11 on my list is Nightwing Rebirth from 2016. I think this is a cover that a lot of people are going to recognize. It's a cover by Yavi Fernandez. Posted up here to show you there, but I'll show you this beautiful cover down below.
I almost brought that one with me.
Here's the thing. When we got the New 52, I was really kind of heartbroken that they decided to make Nightwing red and black. Some people, I know there's some people who don't think it's a big deal, but for me, I always thought Nightwing looked so cool because he was black and blue. That's how I learned about him. And I think that's something to mention, too. I don't know about you, David, but I think for me, I got introduced to comic books through Batman the Animated Series.
You got me into comic books, but I did watch Batman the Animated Series, but not the Superman one, because he sucked.
Because you don't like Superman. Okay,
Nope.
But my whole point to this is I got introduced to Batman, Tim Drake, Dick Grayson in that series. And that's how I saw Nightwing for the first time, was all black with the blue stripe, and I thought that was so cool. And so here he is back in his true form here, and just a real badass pose. There were 2 covers for this issue. The one that you're seeing here on your screen, and then there's a second one that I have in one of these boxes behind us, and that is with full Nightwing standing there on top of the DC logo, which is pretty cool as well, but I just love the detail of this cover. So I believe that's another 5 for me. What's your next trade, David?
My next trade, David, is the Flash number 4.
Okay.
And it took me a while to pick this one out because I wanted to showcase something that Francis Manapul did.
Okay.
Francis Manapul is probably my favorite of the DC artists right now. But I wanted to pick one that really showcased some of the exciting things that I liked about him and a story that I really liked too. Because to me, some of his best work is in his first trade, volume number 1. But his first story with Mob Rule is kind of, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
So I picked this one, and a couple shots I want to show out of this. First one is a picture of our dear friend Barry Allen, kind of hanging out with his first encounter with Kid Flash.
Let me help you with that.
Yes, would you mind?
Yeah, I can be your Vanna White.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So here he is with Bart Allen, kind of came back from the future. At this point, while Barry doesn't know who he is, just that he's somebody calling himself Kid Flash. I love the artwork. I love the electricity. I love the vibrant yellows, golds that he ends up using for Bart. Second one out of this trade. This trade is just phenomenal, by the way. If you haven't read it, Daniel West, uncle to Wally West too, ends up becoming the Reverse Flash. And here's a shot of that, where he's looking almost kind of magma kind of style, just getting ready to beat the crap out of...
Trying to lean it forward a little bit further. There we go. Oh, man, that's gorgeous.
Isn't it? Yeah. Man, this is another one that I'd love to have on my wall or put on my, like, Facebook wallpaper.
I remember you telling me that Francis Manapul, just his art alone, was good enough to keep you in comics for the next 5 years.
Yep. So I have not checked out anything he's doing recently, because he's doing Trinity, which is, Batman and Batwoman and Superman?
Okay.
And I don't like Superman, so I'm sure it's wonderful. Check it out if you haven't picked up one of those lately, but from the New 52, this is... he's probably my favorite artist.
Very cool, very cool. And I like how a lot of your books are going to be within the last 5 years or so, because that's really when you jumped on the bandwagon. But it's great to know, there's a lot of good art that's happening right now, and there's a lot of originality, so that's always really exciting. Okay, so now I'm getting to some graded comics for my next 5, and I think Alex is going to give me a little bit of trouble on this one. I was spending some time this last week in my bedroom at this big blank wall. And if you check out our Instagram and Facebook, I know it's on our Instagram for sure, Beyond the Blast Doors, I put up a big poster of Miles Morales Spider-Man, and I put up a lot of my graded comics. And then he started giving me trouble. App started giving me trouble because he says I'm a closeted collector. And I feel like if you look at the Beyond the Blast Doors set and you realize that all this stuff is mine,
I don't think you're that closeted.
I don't think I'm a closeted collector. Maybe when it comes to comics, and I'll try and do a better job of being more open about it. It is a more accepting society after all. But this is my number 10, and this is Civil War number 3, and this is a signed bad boy. Got this signed by Steve McNiven, who's also responsible for the pencils and cover. And it's just really nice. I'll drop it down here so everyone can see it. I got to remember to drop it down here. I want to look up top, and I want to look down below. It's just a really astonishing cover, and I think the Civil War, that Civil War storyline from several years ago was the first one that I read of Marvel. Before that, I was strictly DC, and my buddies that I was working with at a radio station were very adamant that I read Civil War, and I get to learn the updated characters. And so when I saw this, I just thought I had to pick it up, and I was able to get it signed, and it's a 9.8, so that's a decent grading. But really, the art... Here's the thing. I'm not a Thor fan, but in this image, Thor looks incredible. And I mentioned, earlier, I like lightning. I like that. Well, this blue lightning on this Thor cover is just, to me, very, very incredible. It really excites me enough to read the book, and that's why I bought a second copy, so that I could read the book and not crack this. So that's number 10. I'm going to be done rambling. As we get closer to my number 1, David, I think these are heavily influenced by sentiment, so some people might not think that these are great covers, but these are books that mean something to me. So they made the list, and that's how it works. If you think there's better books out there, then obviously you can make your own video, and you should do that. We don't know anyone to tag. I guess I should have led the entire video off with the fact that we aren't tagging anybody. We're just showing you our books. But if you like what you've seen from either myself or you like some of the art that you've seen from David, be sure you comment down below and tell us what you think. We'll be sure to respond after you comment. That's how that works. Number 9 for me is Mad Love. And this is a book that always got me excited because it harkens back to the Batman the Animated Series. And it's a lot of fun.
It's a Paul Dini one, isn't it?
Well, yeah, Paul Dini is he writes it. Okay. And the thing that I love about it is just the fact that it's Harley Quinn, and we all know the story. It's just, I don't know, it really excites me because it's that Harley Quinn, and this is how she, it's the people who created her, telling the story. So it's pretty exciting. You got some Bruce Timm art there, and that's just, oh God. It just it makes me so excited because it's like deja vu back to my childhood. I'm sorry that I'm fanboying. And I think something to note that you can tell that it is an original. I mean, obviously you can tell because it's slabbed, but also in the lower right corner it's that card. That's kind of a tall tale sign whether or not you have the original or you have a reprint. So that's number 9. This one is a lot of sentiment, but I think it's a really great cover. This is the Umbrella Academy. This came out several years ago. In fact, I want to double check. Man, this was 2007. This was on Free Comic Book Day, and it's The Umbrella Academy, and it's a series by Gerard Way, who I fell in love with. I mean, not like romantically, but I'm a fan of his work. When I hit about, I guess it was freshman year. Was it freshman year of college? It was 2006. It was when The Black Parade came out. Welcome to the Black Parade, and My Chemical Romance, and obviously Gerard Way is the lead singer of that. I'm a journalist professionally, and I really did not phrase those last three sentences the right order I should have. But I'm excited because I love this cover so much. Ba does a great job with his art, and I love this cover. It actually kind of combines three different storylines in this thing, in this issue. But the cover is by James Jean, and I think it's really, it's grim, it's spooky, it's angsty. It's kind of, I don't want to say emo, because it's not that emo feel, but it's like an alternative rocker feel. I looked at this cover and I was like, yes, Gerard Way would be telling this story. And what's really cool now is the fact that Umbrella Academy is now 2 trades, and they're going to make a Netflix series now on the Umbrella Academy, which is really cool. And so I'm still waiting for Gerard Way to finish the 3rd series of Umbrella Academy, because I love the characters, Seance and all of them, and so hopefully that will come to fruition one day. But until then, I have this cover to salivate over in my personal time. This is my next one. So that was number 8. This is, I guess, number 7. This is another Nightwing cover, and this was actually a gift from a guy that I have a lot of admiration for.
That one's gorgeous.
This is Nightwing 1/2, and this is a Wizard issue, 1997. I'll drop that down here. It's not an uncommon book. You had to order for it. Why it means so much to me is that a guy by the name of Jack owned the comic book shop in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and that's where Dave and I went to college together. And he owned the comic book shop, and I was a real big fan, and I would probably spend 1 or 2 afternoons in the comic book shop because I enjoyed his company, and he was always playing the movies or Big Bang Theory, and hey, there's this book you should read. You should read this book, so he'd have me read the book. And this was a gift from him, and I just absolutely love it. And even better that it's slab, just because it'll always stay perfect in the memory. Hopefully the memory stays just as fresh. But look how acrobatic he is in this scene. It's just pretty cool to see him stretch out like this. It is, to me, an iconic image of Nightwing. And again, black and blue. Not bruised, just in his black and blue. So I'm trying to do math here. I think 4, 5, I've got one more book, and then it's up to you again, all right?
Okay.
So this is finally a Star Wars book, David. We do a Star Wars podcast. We do an episode every week, podcast and YouTube show. We do it every week. And kind of surprised it took this long to get to a Star Wars story. But this is Star Wars number 8.
This one means a lot to me because it always sits behind my shoulder when we do the podcast, so I never feel like I'm alone.
So this is number 8, and this has an EU character that I like, that a lot of people like, but most people despise, and that is Jackson. So Jackson is a space monkey, and...
Bunny?
Oh, did I say monkey?
You did.
No, he's a space bunny.
Green bunny.
Yeah, big bunny with a deadly shot. And so it's a really great story of Han and Chewie running into these different bounty hunters, and Jackson is one of them. This came into my possession recently just because I have conversations with Alex once in a while about Star Wars comics that really excite me. And to be truthful, we talk about, the Star Wars Darth Vader series all the time on our show, the 2015 run and the current run, and a few others, but we never really go into the EU. We don't really have a whole lot of history there. So I wanted to find characters that I liked from the EU and that I'd like to see come back to be canon. And Jackson is one of them. And Jackson actually made an appearance on one of the Star Wars covers as a variant, but he is not canon.
Did you pick that one up?
It's a little bit more expensive than this issue, so I did not pick that up. So that's going to be number 6 for me. And David, feels good that we got on the Star Wars topic, but I'm actually really excited about the trade that you're getting because this is one of those kind of turns that DC takes with one of its main characters.
Did we do our timing wrong? Because I've got 3 more and you've got 5 more.
How many have you shown?
2.
Oh, maybe you should have gone first since you're doing the trades.
That's right. I'll do 2 in a row. Is that okay?
All right, yeah, let's do that.
So this one is Grayson. Have
Okay.
I told you much about Grayson?
I don't know, but show them the cover, not me.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you'd haven't seen Grayson yet either.
You talk about it sometimes.
So in the New 52, about halfway through it, Nightwing just kind of ends, and Seeley and King pick up in a storyline called Grayson, which
Alright.
I picked up the first trade of it a couple weeks ago. Have the second one sitting on my shelf ready to read, but it's fascinating. So basically, Dick Grayson's dead, or at least everybody thinks he's dead, but he's really infiltrating this organization called Spiral. So a lot of the art in this is kind of trippy. It's kind of like almost a secret agent, Dick Grayson.
Okay,
kind of
I
thing.
get down. Okay.
And I wanted to show this one because I know you were doing at least one or two Nightwings, but something that I've always loved about the Nightwing comics is how they portray the acrobats. Is that a good view?
Yeah, there we go.
Shining?
Oh, yeah, that's looking nice.
And, I mean, no other comic that I've read has artwork like this. And this is throughout all of the Grayson, a lot of the Nightwing, just showing how he gets from point A to point B with all of his acrobats, because, of course, he grew up in the circus. So this one's phenomenal. I don't really like the way that they make his face look in this one.
Okay.
But the rest of the comic I really enjoy. Of course, Seeley and King, they're all over the place. Seeley's doing Batman right now, isn't he? And King's doing Nightwing, unless I got that flip-flop.
I think you have him flip-flop.
Flip-flop. One of them's doing Batman, the other one's doing Nightwing, and they're great. Then I'll throw out, this one's called White Sands. This one's not DC, nor is it Marvel. This is kind of a third-party company called Dynamite. And this is a comic, the story is based on Brandon Sanderson, who's a sci-fi and fantasy author. I guess really more fantasy than sci-fi, from Salt Lake City. And I love just about everything he does. Well, I do love everything he does. So this is one of the first books that he wrote,
Alright.
and he acknowledges the fact that it was not very complicated of a storyline, wasn't a very mature story, but he was approached by this company, Dynamite, they wanted to take one of his works and put it into a graphic novel format. So he dusted this off the shelf and said, yeah, I'll help you get it into a little better order, and we're going to start releasing it. So this is Trade 1. Trade 2 comes out in November, but it takes place on the planet called Taldane, which is part of his Cosmere universe, and it follows a group of basically sand wizards called the Sand Masters, and so they utilize magic in the form of water and kind of expend it to be able to... Are we glaring there?
I got it.
To basically do their magic. So this one, there's a lot of detail in every one of the panes. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. The landscape is great. I love how much detail they go into it on these. So just a few different shots here that I think are just pretty stellar. So I'm looking forward to the next issue that comes out on this one. I guess they're doing it just by graphic novel, not by issue.
I got you. How much time in between each one?
The last one came out just over a year, probably about a year and a half.
God, that's a
each.
wait, man.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for that, which is why I do the singles.
That's okay. I'll wait until they all come out, and that'll end it to you. They're only doing three issues, or 3 novels of it, but this is my number 4.
Very cool. Wonderful. Well, I love how we went from get some DC in there, get some Marvel. We've had a couple independents in there, so that's pretty nice. A decent, good blend. I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna close out with 5 Star Wars books. Oh my gosh, did I might have given away my very first pick. I might have just done that. That's all right. We'll get there together. Number 5, Mace Windu. This is a variant that dropped thanks to Golden Apple Comics as a variant. I learned about this variant thanks to Samuel L. Jackson. Not that I'm very good friends with Samuel L. Jackson, but he posted on Twitter, he's like, buy my book. And I was like, I'll fucking buy your book. Sorry for swearing. That's the only one. That's the only one we'll do. But I just love it. This is part of that Star Wars Jedi Republic Mace Windu series that's out right now. We're about to hit issue number 3. 2 just came out. But this is a cool cover. I'm not a big fan of the covers that make the character look like it's an action figure package. But what I like about this cover is the fact that it's Mace Windu in all black. And I think a Mace Windu in all black robes is really, really cool.
That's beautiful.
Really badass. There's a couple shots in the comic that I enjoy. I have been pretty critical of this. I was not impressed by the art overall in the first one. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this guy. John Tyler doing the cover, I believe. John Tyler Christopher. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. That's number 5. Number 4, Darth Vader 2A is my number 4. This is for the Charles Soule run. And the art is done by Giuseppe Camuncoli. Oh, gosh. Camuncoli.
Butchered that one.
I really butchered that one. Usually I get that one right on the first time.
Isn't that even an Italian name? Shouldn't that
It is.
come naturally to
Jim
you?
Chung, shut up. Jim Chung did the cover. I probably should just show the cover. I'm just going to show the cover and shut up from now on. But this is just the main cover, and I think it's really just gorgeous. I think what makes this run so exciting for me, because I'm having a lot more fun with this run than the 2015 run.
But the 2015 one was still great.
It is, but Charles Soule has really locked on to this year one mentality with Vader, and the art is so good. Giuseppe does a great job on the monthly to complement the story with the visuals. But this cover here is just really exciting. I love all the red, the flame. Maybe it's force lightning. You take a good look at it. Maybe it's just sparks from blasters hitting the ground, but that just looks really, really exquisite.
I love the glow off the lightsaber.
Isn't that great, the red?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. All right, so my next one, I'm going to double check these. That's right, yeah, okay. So this is Darth Vader, number 2, the same comic you just saw, but it's a different cover. It's the variant, and this is one of my favorite covers that I have in my collection. So now we're actually getting to the point of why we're making this whole video, right? It goes from... I like the story a lot, and I kind of like the cover, so I made the cut. This is an incredible cover. You have Vader right up in the face of some clone troopers. It's raining on both Vader and the clones, and you can see the water dripping down the helmet of the clone troopers, and it's just really... It caught my eye the very first time I saw it, and I was like, I gotta buy it. It is worth the investment. All right, cool. So that's number 3. Number 2 is a Star Wars book again. I'm telling you, Charles Soule really does a great job writing it.
I'm surprised this isn't your number 1. You spent like a solid month talking about this cover.
Well, okay, so this is the main run again, and I want to say, yeah, this is Giuseppe again, with a cover, I believe, and it's the single, the 1/8 cover of number 5, right? Number 5. I just bumped my mic. Whoops. But I'm gonna put it down here so you can see it. And I just think that is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. That is just... I should have made this my number 1. Why the hell did I not make this my number 1?
I figured it would have been your number 1.
Oh my
If you would have
gosh.
sat down like last week and said, David, we're doing this project. What's going to be my number 1? I would have put down $50. You would have picked this one.
I think I might have put this out of order. No. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Because you know what? You look at this thing, and it's just the fact that something shatters the eye of Vader's helmet. And you see the glass shards flying towards you. You get to see the eye of Vader, the human element of Vader that still exists. And to me, this is not just visually satisfying. This is an emotional cover for me. As a Star Wars fan, this cover really this gets me because it's that reminder that there is a person underneath all that black and armor. So that's number 2.
Before you share your number 1, you want me to do my last trade and then you do your number 1?
That's fine.
That way, kind of like...
Give me a breather.
Since I didn't follow the instructions, that way we can like end with what we're actually supposed to do by looking at covers. And
End with a bang?
End with a bang?
Wow, that's going to be really ironic in about 3 minutes.
So, okay. So, obviously I'm a fan of The Flash.
Yes.
And obviously I'm a fan of Nightwing. So, of course, when a new series comes out called Titans that has both of them in it...
Yeah,
you
makes
know
sense.
that I'll be lining up at the comic book store.
Right.
Volume number 2 sitting in my pull box right now, so
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that. So here is Titans, which of course sees the reintroduction of Wally West back into it. And this was Dan Abnett and Brett Booth. Both of those guys have kind of flipped back and forth between Marvel and DC, so they've been a little bit of everywhere. But both of these guys are huge fans of Wally West, and both of them wanted to bring him back for the New 52, but of course I went with the other Wally West. So when I was very excited to see these guys jump on board for this series because I know they're going to bring a lot of passion to it. And this is one of those stories, I mean, you can just look at it, that I've read this a number of times, the binding's starting to fall apart on me, because every single page in this is just stellar. So right off the bat, here's a nice big pic of Wally West with the Titans. I guess I should mention they take the original Teen Titans group and forward them in the age, and that way they're all back together, which is why it's Titans and not Teen Titans. Okay. So this one's just absolutely gorgeous, and they just get better from there. Here's a pic with that blue lightning that you were talking about earlier.
Oh my
David.
gosh, yes.
And that's beautiful.
Stunning.
And the bad guy in this story arc is Abracadabra. Of course, the magician from the future who comes back because he can't make any money, so he comes back to try to dazzle people with his tricks, which are all really just future technology. It's implied heavily that he's the reason why Wally West disappeared throughout the New 52. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. There is not a bad page in this entire trade.
You know, it's for me as your friend, it gets me really excited to hear you talk about a comic book this way because this is an effort since 2010.
Just look at that.
I mean, you gotta calm yourself down. But I'm just really glad that we get to share this hobby together.
Yep.
And really glad. Thanks again to Alex, the comic hoarder, for tagging us in his video. Again, our top 20 favorite covers, or the 20 covers that we could get our hands on. David just finished his last trade, and so I have my number one here. And this is the book where, again, I go back to 2010. This is when I get into comic books, and I'm trying to get this guy named Joe Griller at the station to respect me. I'm trying to get this guy to like me so much because I'm like, this guy can teach me so much, and he ended up doing so. But I was like, I need to get into comics, and I want Batman because I would watch Batman Return. No, not Batman Returns. Batman Forever all the time. That one with Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Yeah, I love it. It's so funny. It's great. So I was like, I want to watch Batman, and I know that the comics make him a little bit more grittier than he is in that movie, right? So I want to learn about him. I've come to learn, fast forward 7 years, that everyone kind of has those 2 or 3 stories that if you want to learn about Batman and the core of the character, these are the 3 books that you're going to read. And I think on everyone's list of 3 for Batman is going to be The Killing Joke. And the cover always gets me every time I look at it, just because of the detail and, it's just mischievous, and I don't know how you can't look away from this cover.
Joker's wearing a hat again.
He is wearing a hat.
Are all the best Joker stories with him wearing a hat?
No, but it's kind of like that gangster image that they're trying to portray. This is an Alan Moore story. Bolin does the art, Brian Bolin, and now you'll be noticing that this is a reprint. This is the second print of it. It's not the original. You can tell because on the front here, the lettering is in red. The first version, the lettering is in a lime green, and I have that slabbed back in my room. But I went with this version again because my friend Jack, I guess who is one of my comic mentors, him and Joe Roller get credit as my comic mentors. But Jack gave me this, and it means a great deal to me. And it's a cover where you can't look away because of the detail. Like I mentioned before, is so incredible on this cover that you cannot look away. I love the camera, and learning how that plays a role into the actual story is a little gross. But nonetheless, one of the most iconic images of the Joker, and I think one of the best portrayals of the Joker.
All it takes is one bad day.
All it takes is one bad day. That's right. Oh, that's so cool that you do that now. Like, you can quote those stories. Okay, so that's going to do it for us. That was our top 20 comic book covers, and then sort of for him.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. That was a lot of fun. Did you have fun doing that?
There are. Look at how many we have here.
Yeah, that's 20.
This is a lot.
Yeah, that's 20. I mean, it's thick, too, because you have some... I've got some just in back and board, some with the top loaders, some are slabbed. You got all that. Put that on top, yeah, there's quite a difference. But you know what's crazy about this is a lot of cool art, but there's like really good stories in those stacks. So that's pretty cool. So that's going to do it for us. Alex, once again, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for tagging us in your video and asking us to do this. I hope we did it right. I feel like
I didn't.
I feel like we got better as we went along.
But I enjoyed it.
No, it was a lot of fun. I guess if you have any, I mean, you watching, right? If you have any ideas of kind of like videos we can do something like this again, we'll totally do it because I had the best time.
It was great. I spent like an hour the other night just going through my comic book shelf.
Yeah.
Looking at all the different trades, trying to figure out which art I like the best, which storylines. It was nice.
And that's what I enjoy too is the fact that this gave me a really great opportunity to pull out all my boxes because I had this collection, but how many times do you get a chance to go back through and reread them? And so I'd be like, oh man, I've missed this book, and I'd open it up, and that's what I found myself doing with I have the entire run of Gotham Central, and I was going back through those issues because it's like, you learn like Montoya is a lesbian, and all the dilemmas that you have in the GCPD, and then it's like, oh, there's something that they actually used in the Gotham series. It's not as much as you would hope for. Okay, that's going to do it. Thank you so much.
If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up down below, hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media, all these things, it helps us.